Imagine this, young Peruvians full of excitement and faith, traveling all the way to Rome, not for vacation, not for sightseeing, but for something much deeper. They went to celebrate a special moment, their Jubilee. And there, in the heart of the church, they were welcomed by someone who surprised them deeply, someone they did not expect to see as one of their own. That person was none other than Pope Leo XIV, and what happened next was truly powerful. Please stay with us until the end of this video, because what you're about to hear is not just a meeting. It's a moment that touches the heart of every believer, especially those from Peru and Latin America. It's a reminder that the Pope is not just a figure in Rome. Sometimes he is a fellow countryman. Sometimes he is one of us. The Pope met with these Peruvian young people during their spiritual journey to Rome. They were there for their Jubilee, a celebration of faith and joy. But what made this meeting different from all others was the history between Pope Leo XIV and Peru itself. Before he became Pope, before he wore the white robe and spoke from St. Peter's, he was a missionary, and his mission led him to Peru. This is why when he saw those young Peruvians, his face lit up. He wasn't speaking to strangers. He was speaking to people from a place that had shaped his own spiritual life. He was speaking to young people who came from a land he once called home, not because he was born there, but because he had lived and served there with love. He looked at them not only as the leader of the church, but as someone who had walked the streets of their towns, heard their music, eaten their food, and prayed in their chapels. That day, Pope Leo was not just a pope. He was one more Peruvian among his countrymen. During the meeting, Pope Leo encouraged the youth to be joyful Christians. He reminded them of their country's spiritual richness. Peru has given the church many saints. Saint Rose of Lima, Saint Martin de Porres, Saint Toribio, names that carry great strength, names that show how much faith can grow from Peruvian soil. He spoke to them gently, yet clearly. He said that being Christian is not about being serious all the time. It's about being full of light. It's about bringing hope, just like the saints of Peru did. He told them not to be afraid to show their faith with joy, not to be afraid to go out into the world and share the gospel, and most of all, not to be afraid to love deeply, even when the world is full of noise and distractions. This message was not just for the youth in that room. It's for every person watching this video right now. You don't need to be a priest, or a nun, or a theologian to live your faith. You just need to have a heart open to God, and that is exactly what the Pope was trying to say. He reminded the youth that being Christian means having a missionary heart. What does that mean? It means not keeping your faith hidden. It means going out and sharing your joy, your values, your peace with others, with your family, with your classmates, with your neighbors. The Pope also spoke about transparency. In a world where people often wear masks, where lies and confusion are common, he invited the youth to be different, to be clear, to be real, to be witnesses of truth. Not just in church, but everywhere, in school, in sports, on social media. Let's pause for a moment. Think about what it means for young Peruvians to be in Rome, looking at the Pope and hearing him say, "I was once a missionary in your country." Imagine the pride, the emotion, the joy they must have felt. And not the pride that comes from ego, but the pride that comes from love. The kind of pride that says, our land helped form the heart of a pope. This is something historic, something powerful, because it shows that the church is truly universal, but also deeply personal. It shows that a future pope can come from any land, even from the mountains of Peru, or from the streets of Lima, or from a small village that nobody knows. The Pope did not speak as someone distant. He spoke as someone close. He remembered the people. He remembered the food. He remembered the faith he saw in simple families, in quiet churches, in small processions. He remembered the fire of faith that burns in Peru, and he thanked God for it. And now, let's think about what this moment means for the whole world. We live in a time where many young people feel lost. Many feel alone. Many feel like the church doesn't understand them, but here we see the opposite. We see a pope who speaks their language, not only in words but in experience. A pope who walked among them before he ever sat on the chair of Peter. His message to the Peruvian youth wasn't complicated. It was simple, like the gospel itself. Be joyful, be honest, be brave, be missionary, and never forget where you come from, because faith is not something we leave behind when we travel. It's something we carry within us, always. And just like Pope Leo carried Peru in his heart to Rome, these young people now carry Rome in their hearts back to Peru. Now, you may ask, why does this matter to me? It matters because it reminds us that God works in quiet, hidden ways. He prepares leaders in silence. He forms hearts in faraway lands. And when the time comes, he brings them to the center stage, not for power, but for service. It matters because it shows us that every act of love matters. When Pope Leo was a missionary in Peru, he didn't know he would become pope. He just loved. He just served. He just gave his time and heart. And now that love has come full circle. Maybe you too are in a place where no one notices your work. Maybe you're quietly helping others, giving your time, being kind, being faithful, and you wonder if it matters. Let this story remind you, yes, it does. Every small act of faith can change lives. And now, imagine what would happen if more young people lived with that same spirit the Pope spoke about. A spirit of mission, a spirit of truth, a spirit of joy. That's the vision Pope Leo XIV gave to the young people from Peru. Not just a memory of the past, but a calling for the future. He invited them to take inspiration from the saints of their country, saints who were not perfect, saints who struggled, but saints who trusted, saints who loved, saints who changed the world around them with their faith. And now you are invited to do the same. Whether you are watching this in Peru or in another part of the world, remember, faith is not about doing big things. It's about doing small things with love. It's about being honest, being kind, being patient, being hopeful. And it's about remembering that the church is not far away. It is close. Because when a pope can call himself one more Peruvian among his countrymen, it means that no one is ever too far from God's love. No one is ever too small to be noticed. No one is ever forgotten. So, as we reach the end of this story, let this be your takeaway. The Pope is not just a man in white robes. He is a man with a heart that remembers. He is a man who once walked the same roads you walk. And he wants you to walk those roads with joy, with faith, and with courage. Be missionary, be honest, be joyful. Be proud of your faith and your roots. Because you never know, the simple life you live today may become the foundation for something great tomorrow. And one day, maybe years from now, someone will look at you and say, that person inspired me. Just like those Peruvian youth looked at Pope Leo and saw not only a pope, but one of their own. Thank you for watching until the end. May this story fill your heart with hope, and may it remind you that faith, when lived with joy, can change everything. What makes Pope Leo XIV's meeting with the young Peruvians so special is not just the personal connection he shares with them, it's the message he carries for every young person in the church today. Many young people are searching for a purpose, for identity, for a place where they belong. And the Pope's message is clear. You already belong because you belong to God. Let us think about this for a moment. The youth from Peru traveled thousands of miles to Rome. They came with open hearts, ready to celebrate their faith. But what they received was something much greater, a reminder that they are not alone, a reminder that the Pope himself knows their culture, their struggles, and their dreams because he once lived among them. And that message of closeness is something every person longs to hear. Pope Leo XIV told them that being Christian is not about being perfect. It is about living with joy and faith even in the middle of life's challenges. He reminded them that joy is one of the greatest witnesses we can give to the world. When people see Christians living with true joy, they want to know why. And that opens the door for faith to spread. This is why the Pope called the youth to be missionaries. But what does that mean in daily life? Many people think missionaries are only those who travel far away to preach. But Pope Leo explained that being a missionary starts right where you are. It starts in your family, in your school, in your workplace. It starts when you share kindness instead of anger. It starts when you forgive instead of holding grudges. It starts when you show the same love that Christ shows to you. The Pope also gave the youth a powerful challenge: be transparent. In a world full of filters, masks, and fake appearances, he asked them to be real, to be people who tell the truth, to be people who live in a way that matches their words. This is not always easy, especially for young people who face pressure from society to fit in. But the Pope reminded them that living as authentic Christians brings true freedom.